Hey guys, it's Josh. I'm so glad you guys had an opportunity to look at my map with some of your classmates and one of your teachers and answer some of the questions about how I created my journey. It took a lot of work to do this, so I'm really excited to be able to share it with you guys. And what I want to talk about now is just some of the things that I had to do, some of the expectations I had to meet to be sure that I was able to do all the hard work that went into creating my project. As I do that, I'm going to name some of the expectations of class that I had to meet, and Geoffrey's actually going to drop them in the chat so that they're written down and you can see them written, but I'll kind of highlight each expectation that I had to meet. So to build the map, as you know, as I talked about before, I had to select my locations where I wanted to travel. That was kind of an easy part. I knew I wanted to go to all these different places because they were like personal to me or exciting. But then the really hard part is figuring out, okay, how do I map my journey there using things like measuring the slope and determining starting point and end point and vectors. All of these are things I like kind of knew a little bit about in math, but I didn't really remember them because it's been a while since I was in a math class. So like the first expectation that I had to meet is I had to show up. I had to actually be in like all of my classes. I remember I missed a day and I had to call Nicole and like find out like what did I miss and go to Google Classroom and make sure I did that assignment because I wanted to make sure that I stayed caught up. So, you know, that expectation to like be here every day and when you can't reach out to the teachers is like a huge one. The second is like I had to try and fail a lot of times to measure the different slopes. Like I definitely got voyage 2. Oh my gosh, I got that wrong like 3 or 4 times. But that expectation that like you try and you take the feedback from your teacher and you resubmit was huge for me. Otherwise, like I never would have gotten a couple of these slopes right. They were really hard to figure out. I also like had to do a lot of peer review with my classmates. As you're going to see, a really important thing in this class is being able to like communicate to your classmates what you're doing and why you did it so that they can do your journey with you. And so like, you know, you're going to see that you have to communicate a lot. So that expectation of like collaborating and communicating with your classmates is really important because you want to make sure that you guys are talking about how you're building your journey and learning from one another. I learned so much from PJ. He really gave me a lot of great feedback when we did our groups together. So what I did was essentially like I created my journey. And I learned the math by showing up and being there. And you know, Nicole and Sam and the teachers did a great job of kind of like showing me the ropes and helping me learn all these different equations. I know that when I looked at this table the first time, like obviously nothing was filled out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to create my own journey. I have to pick my locations. I have to do this. And the beautiful thing about this class is you really like do each of these things day by day. So by showing up, by being here, by communicating when I wasn't, by learning from my classmates, by trying and failing, I eventually was able to learn each one of the skills that you can kind of see here. So naming the coordinates, something we're practicing a little bit today, and all of this other stuff were things that I learned every single day when I was here. So super important to be here, super important to communicate when you're not, super important to try and fail, and super important to listen to your classmates when you collaborate together.